Hello students, welcome to online class. I am Balika Sharma, your social science teacher is going to teach you the third chapter of history of class 7, that is the Delhi Sultanate. In this chapter you will study about the 5 dynasties that ruled under Sultanate period. These 5 dynasties are the Slave dynasty, the Khalji dynasty, the Tughlaq dynasty, the Sayyid dynasty and the Lodi dynasty. So let us begin the chapter. Children, due to the absence of powerful central government in North India, many small kingdoms had emerged. Constant conflicts and lack of political unity among these kingdoms was largely responsible for quick victories of the Turks. The period from 1206 to 1526 is known as the period of Delhi Sultanate. The rulers of these dynasties were called as sultans. The 5 dynasties which ruled under Delhi Sultanate were the Slave dynasty, which ruled from 1206 to 1290, the Khalji dynasty ruled from 1290 to 1320, the Tughlaq dynasty ruled from 1320 to 1414, the Sayyid dynasty ruled from 1414 to 1451 and the Lodi dynasty ruled from 1451 to 1526. So children, how do you come to know about the Delhi Sultanate? So there are various sources available which provide much information for reconstructing the history of the Delhi Sultanate. The important sources of information are inscriptions and monuments. Inscriptions. Many inscriptions were found on coins, monuments, tombstones, etc. These inscriptions are in Arabic, Sanskrit and some in both the languages. These inscriptions give lot of information about the political, cultural, social, religious and administrative aspects of that period. The another source is monuments. The ruler of Delhi Sultanate built many monuments which reveal their cultural trends, living conditions, faith, beliefs and socio-cultural outlook. Now let us see all the dynasties one by one. The Slave dynasty. Sultan Muhammad Ghori defeated Prithviraj Chauhan at the Second Battle of Tarin in 1192. The victorious Turks left behind a slave General Qutbuddin Aibak as viceroy of the conquered lands. They were also called as Mamluk Sultans since they were either the slaves of the Turk or were the sons of the slaves. Here Mamluk is an Arabic word which means owned. Qutbuddin Aibak is regarded as the founder of the slave dynasty. In 1210, Aibak died of a sudden fall from a horse at Lahore while playing chaugan or polo. In 1211, his son Aram Shah succeeded him. Since he was an incapable ruler, he was overthrown by Iltutmish, the slave and son-in-law of Qutbuddin Aibak. Iltutmish nominated his daughter Razia as his successor because he did not consider his sons as capable of becoming a sultan. Many nobles opposed this move of Iltutmish as they considered this below their dignity to ruled by a woman. Hence they crowned Ruknuddin, that is Iltutmish's son, as the new sultan. Since Ruknuddin was an incapable ruler, he was removed from the throne within 7 months and Razia became the first woman ruler of the Delhi Sultanate in 1236. The nobles opposed Razia's rule and also disapproved of the high position she granted to her Ethiopian slave Yakut. Eventually, they revolted against her. She was killed as part of a conspiracy by the nobles while she was on her way to reclaim her empire. The next ruler after Razia Sultan was Ghiyasuddin Balban. Ghiyasuddin Balban created a strong centralized army to deal with internal disturbances and to check the Mongols who were posing a serious danger to Delhi Sultanate. To keep himself informed, Balban appointed spies. Balban introduced the practice of Sijda, that is, the practice of bowing down and saluting the king, and Pabos or Zamin Bos, that is, kissing the feet. He also introduced a strict code of conduct for nobles and even banned them from attending parties or drinking wine. His successors were weak rulers, and in 1290 the Khalji nobles took Delhi under their rule. So the next dynasty ruled under Sultanate period was the Khalji dynasty. Jalaluddin Khalji founded the Khalji dynasty. He was a weak ruler and followed mild and general policies. He compromised with the Mongols by marrying one of his daughters to their leader Ulugh Khan. He was succeeded by his nephew Ali Gurshap, who took the title of Alaudd in 1296, the most powerful ruler of Khalji dynasty. So now let us see Alauddin Khilji's ruling period. On ascending the throne, Alauddin Khalji has to face rebellion of Mongols, but he killed most of them near Delhi. Later he conquered the territories of Malwa, Ujjain, Dhar, Chanderi and Mandu. He had a strong army and started paying his soldiers in cash. Alauddin Khalji brought some changes during his ruling period. So let us see market regulation of Alauddin Khalji. He fixed the cost of all commodities like food grains, oil, sugar, etc. He set up 3 markets at Delhi, one for food grains, second for costly clothes and third for horses, slaves and cattle. Each market may put under the charge of a controller of market called as Shahana. Strict punishments were prescribed for cheating and underweighing of goods. Now let us see his Deccan expeditions. Alauddin sent Malik Kafur, his military commander, to Deccan expedition. He conquered the kingdoms of Devagiri, Warangal, Madurai and Dwarasamudra but did not annex. Reason behind no annexation of these kingdoms were it would be practically difficult to control these distant lands from Delhi and for the maintenance of his huge army. He was more interested in acquiring the wealth of these kingdoms. Deccan rulers were forced to accept Alauddin as their lord and pay annual tribute to him. Now measures taken by Alauddin Khalji against his nobility. Alauddin has to face many rebellions from the nobles after ascending the throne. Hence, he took many measures to control their power like. Without the permission of Sultan, the nobles were not allowed to hold parties or to form marriage alliance. He established an efficient spy system to keep check on the activities. Use of wine and gambling was banned. He introduced cash salaries to soldiers instead of land. Now let us see his military reforms. He led the foundation of permanent standing army. He was the first ruler of Delhi Sultanate to do so. He imported quality horses and started branding them. That is, the horse cannot be replaced with inferior quality horses by soldiers. He also introduced Chehra system, that is identity card to every soldier. All recruitments to the army was approved by himself and soldiers were paid in cash from royal treasury. Let us see revenue reforms. All the land of the empire was brought under his direct control. He introduced the system of measuring the land and fixing the share accordingly, increased land revenue from 1/3 to 1/2. Officers were appointed to collect land revenue in cash only, not in kind. It is believed that Malik Kafur murdered Alauddin Khilji in January 1316. Following the death of Alauddin Khilji, Khalji dynasty began to decline. After many ups and downs, Khalji dynasty came to an end and Ghazi Malik, the governor of Dipalpur, ascended the throne. The next dynasty that came to rule under Sultanate period was the Tughlaq dynasty. In 1320, Ghazi Malik took the title of Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq Shah and thereby emerged a new dynasty called the Tughlaq dynasty. After his death in 1325, his son Zauna Khan ascended the throne with the title of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. He was one of the most remarkable rulers of his age. During his reign, major parts of Deccan and South India passed under the direct rule of the Delhi Sultanate. Now let us see some of his projects in which he practically failed. The first one is transfer of capital. Muhammad bin Tughlaq transferred his capital from Delhi to Devagiri near Aurangabad and named it as Daulatabad. He did so to control Deccan territories, severe famines in Delhi and threat of Mongol invasion on Delhi etc. As Daulatabad was not large enough to accommodate large number of immigrants and Sultan too realized that as it was difficult to control south from north, he could not control north from south. Hence he transferred the capital back to Delhi, which made a people suffer a lot and caused loss of lives and resources. The next project was his introduction of token currency. Beside transfer of capital, his reign was best known for his failed currency reforms during 1329 to 1330. He introduced bronze takas, that is coins, in place of silver takas due to the shortage of silver. This experiment failed as many people started manufacturing fake coins at their homes. The market was flooded with such fake coins. People lost faith in accepting these coins, which brought chaos in trade and commerce. Consequently, he withdrew the token currency. The next system was taxation in Doab region. In order to raise resources of the state, Sultan increased the land revenue in Ganga and Yamuna Doab. Severe famine broke out in that area and people refused to pay the extra taxes and revolted against him. Due to the stern measures of tax collectors, some of the peasants abandoned their land. Muhammad bin Tughlaq tried to save the situation by advancing loans to the peasants, free distribution of grains, and by improving irrigation facilities. But his effort to save the situation was too late as many people were starved to death, as agriculture faced many problems in Doab area. His next dream was to conquer the world. Muhammad bin Tughlaq had a dream of conquering the world. For this, he organized a huge army and paid advance annual salary to the soldiers. He decided to conquer Persia, Iraq and Khorasan, but due to the failure of token currency, he abandoned the project and dissolved the army after 1 year. Muhammad bin Tughlaq died in 1351 and was succeeded by his cousin Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Undertook many welfare measures such as banning the practice of inhuman punishments, establishment of hospitals for the poor, etc. Firoz Shah founded the city of Firozabad. People were happy during his reign. When he died in 1388, a series of rebellions broke out which hastened the end of the Tughlaq rule. Children, due to the weaknesses of the Delhi Sultanate, it became vulnerable to external invasions. Timur, the ruler of Samarkand in Central Asia and the founder of Timurid dynasty, invaded India in 1398. His army plundered Delhi and carried away enormous booty and many Indian artisans. The last Tughlaq ruler Nasiruddin was unable to check the invader. The next dynasty which ruled under the Sultanate period was the Sayyid dynasty. When Timur left Delhi, he appointed Khizar Khan as his viceroy. Khizar Khan went to establish the Sayyid dynasty and took over the Sultan of Delhi in 1414. He was succeeded by his son. Mubarak Shah was succeeded by his nephew Muhammad Shah. He was succeeded by his son and the last ruler of the dynasty, Alauddin Alam Shah. The next dynasty which ruled under the Delhi Sultanate was the Lodi dynasty. So let us see the Lodi dynasty, that is the last dynasty of the Sultanate period and the decline of the Sultanate period. In 1451, Alauddin Alam Shah abdicated the throne. This gave Behlol Lodi, the governor of Sirhind, which is in Punjab, the opportunity to become the new Sultan of Delhi.
The new dynasty that he founded came to be known as the Lodi dynasty. It was the first Afghan dynasty that comes to power during the Sultanate period. Behlol died in 1489 and was succeeded by his son Sikandar Lodi. He founded the city of Agra in 1503. He was succeeded by his son Ibrahim Lodi in 1517. In the first battle of Panipat, fought in 1526, Ibrahim Lodi was defeated by Babur. It dealt the final fatal blow to the Delhi Sultanate. Children, we will read about this in detail in the next chapter.
Now let us see the Sultanate administration. The Sultan was the supreme executive, legislative, judicial and military authority. Final decisions were taken by him only. He was assisted by a number of ministers. His prime minister, that is Wazir, supervised all the other ministers. Minister in charge of the army was Aris-e-Mumalik with the responsibility for equip and pay the army. Two other departments, namely Diwan-e-Risalat, which dealt with religious matter, presided by Qazi, who was also the head of Justice Department, and Sultan's advisor on civil and religious matters. Second department was Diwan-e-Insha, which dealt with state correspondence. Empire was divided into provinces called Iktas, placed under administrative officials called Muktis. Villages were the lowest administrative units under the official like Muqaddam, that is the village headman, Patwari, that is the record keeper, and Musharrif, that is the accountant. Villages had panchayats also to settle local disputes. The practice of giving grants of revenue from a territory came to be called as Ikta system. Those who are given Iktas were called as Iktadars. When the central authority became weak, many of these Iktadars functioned as independent rulers of their respective territories. So children, this was the chapter, the Delhi Sultanate. Students, go through the chapter and understand the concept and try to do the book exercises. Till then, stay home, stay safe and stay happy.